ESPN First Take had a discussion about Stephen A's talk with Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown joined Stephen A's show, his podcast, and right off the rip, Jaylen Brown wanted to approach Stephen A about the unnamed source. It was something that he kept bringing up over and over again, and as I watched it, I realized more that I could see why he looks at it as this is some cowardice stuff. Somebody says something about you, you don't know who they are, they won't reveal themselves in any kind of way, and you want to address it because it feels like it's hurting your brand and what you do. And he even questioned Stephen A in terms of how do you balance your journalistic integrity that you say when it comes to not naming the source versus who you are as a person within real life. And even as independent media, that's something that I'm always thinking of, because I don't want to say anything that is beyond critiquing somebody's game. And believe me, I see a lot of topics out there with people's personal lives, relationships, just very salacious things that could get me a bunch of clicks, views. I stay far away from it. I enjoyed what Jaylen Brown had to say. I didn't watch everything, but I could tell he's not focused on the entertainment world and Hollywood and Brandon. So without further ado, let's get into the conversation they had on ESPN First Take, and I'll react to some of the takes that they had.
Well, listen, I thought that he had, I got where he was coming from in terms of his points. The point that I was trying to make to him, you have a lot of people that complain about sources, and I think, Shannon, it's appropriate on this particular day to have two guys sitting next to me. This man has been covering the NBA for us for years. Shams, we're proud to have you on as a part of the team. Guess what? Journalists don't reveal their sources, and in today's generation, people will try to act like, well, you know what, you're making it up, or you don't really have sources. Well, damn it, do you say that about people who cover the White House? Do you say that about people who cover government? Do you say that about people who cover Wall Street? Well, the same is applicable to sports. You got sources all over the place, the both of you. I've never heard either one of you tell people, this is our source. Okay, it doesn't work that way. They weren't saying he wasn't a great guy. They weren't saying that he wasn't made of championship metal. They were saying that Madison Avenue looks at him that way because of all that comes with him. And as a result, that might be getting in the way of all the things that he is after.
As you hear, Stephen A. Smith is heavily doubling down on the specific fact that he cannot name the sources. It's not journalistic integrity, that word that keeps popping up. And I want to say this is another reason why I can see how other people will be rubbed the wrong way by a Jaylen Brown. I don't personally, I want to put that out there. But when you have somebody who says, yo, if you make a strong personal opinion against me, I want to address it face to face. There's people probably within that media business world that are looking at it like, that's not how we do it. I just said what I had to say. It's anonymous. You got to take it and keep it moving. But Jaylen Brown is like, nah, let's really address this face to face. I want to see who this person is, right? And so I do also want to say what Stephen A said, do you question like the U.S. government and all these other big institutions that have sources? I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist. Please don't lose me on this one. I do question everything. All right. I have questions. I do think, I wonder where that's coming from, or how reliable is that source? Do they have their own ulterior motives? Are they biased in any kind of way? These are the thoughts that go through my head sometimes when I hear whoever is naming sources, whether it's a Stephen A. Smith or a news outlet or some type of government institution.
I feel like everyone around the league, they respect Jaylen Brown. I believe he came to you and he really wanted to sit down with you and spend time with you. And I think people do have a lot of respect for the way he approaches just off the court, how he handles things. He's very communicative. Like, he's not going to duck anything. He's going to approach you, whether you're a teammate, whether you're a guy on the other side.
Absolutely.
And I think you have to give Jaylen Brown this credit. He's really built himself into the star that he's become. You think about just 2 off seasons ago, I did reporting on it at the time. The Celtics offered Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and a first-round pick for Kevin Durant. That trade did not happen. Obviously, Brooklyn did not take that deal. So just think about the trajectory of this league. If that deal happened, where would the Celtics be in that situation? Obviously, with Jaylen Brown's career, where would he be? And you're looking at Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown now, them staying together.
Elite 10.
I mean, this duo will have a chance for the next 3 to 5 years, as long as they remain committed to each other like they are. And there have been times where they could have splintered, went the other way. But Jason Tatum stamped Jaylen Brown at a time where it was shaky at different points. And they kept Jaylen Brown. And now I think this duo has a 3 to 5 year window where every year they're going to enter as favorites.
By the way, Jaylen Brown turns 24 years of age. Turns 28 this Thursday.
To piggyback off Sham's point, I definitely know there's people out there who respect that Jaylen Brown doesn't duck anything. It's like a double-edged sword. You either love it or you don't like it. It's not going to be for you. Now, what really stood out to me in this part with Shams is him saying that the Boston Celtics offered a first-round pick, Derek White, and Jaylen Brown to get Kevin Durant from the Brooklyn Nets. I didn't realize this. This was like the first time I heard this. Y'all can let me know in the comment section if you were aware of this. But when I thought of what he was just saying, I remembered when the Boston Celtics beat the Brooklyn Nets, right? When Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum put a number on Kevin Durant, had him shooting, I think, below 40%. He was averaging about 5 turnovers that series. So it's kind of interesting how things work out. And I also disagree with Sham saying that they have a 3 to 5 year window. I think they have at least 4 to 5 years, not 3, minimum 4 to 5. Once you win that championship, it just extends everything. And because they're young, they're not even in their 30s as of yet, that window is much more longer than me, in my opinion.
I think Jaylen Brown should be commended. But Stephen A., guys, Wendy, Sean, you know this. When you take the approach that Jaylen Brown has taken, that he's going to be outspoken about his community and things that he sees, you have to understand, you get to control your actions. You don't get to control the consequences that comes of your actions. That's why a lot of prominent athletes have stayed away from the subjects and the topics that Jaylen Brown would jump head in first. And he has to understand that. But to want to have the source revealed, Watergate, one of the biggest stories in American history, the tobacco industry, was all happened because of source. Jaylen, don't get upset. Okay, maybe the shoe companies don't think you're marketable. It's not the end all be all. You got 300 plus million from the Celtics. And then I heard him say, well, if Team USA has something to do with the basketball in the Olympics, I'm not going to be a part of it.
If Nike has anything to do with it.
Stephen A., explain to him what happened in 92. Reebok had the uniform. The Olympics say, nah, we're not finna get away. Hey, y'all can cover up that logo, but y'all gonna be in them Reebok uniforms. No person has ever been bigger than the sport itself. You're not about to be the first.
When you're taking actions that are of righteousness, that require a lot of courage, bravery that most people may not want to take for whatever reasons that come with it, I wouldn't want to use the word consequences. I understand totally what Shannon Sharpe is saying. The word that I would use is sacrifices. There's sacrifices that will come. And when he's talking about Jaylen Brown, you're not bigger than the sport itself. There's others who have done similar things that you have done, and they had to go through the consequences, as he would call it. I think he's very aware of that, and Stephen A. ends up saying it after that. He knows Jaylen Brown realizes, look, this is what is going to happen to you because of who you are as a person. But Jaylen Brown did admit in that sit down with Stephen A., it bothered him a lot early on in his career. I could see why it would. If you are looking at yourself and you know, man, I'm doing what is right. I believe I'm doing something that is a really good cause that's going to help, and people don't like me, it could definitely make you question yourself or others and build up a level of frustration, and then you become more comfortable within your own skin. As time goes on, there was a little bit more conversation that they had after this. I just wanted to get everyone's point. Brian Windhorst did speak as well, but he was just really saying overall, it's Jaylen Brown's time. He won a championship. He could talk his talk. So if you want to hear the full clip of what he had to say, you can check it out on First Take's channel, obviously, or the ESPN channel, I should say. Hit me up in the comment section, though. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this whole Jaylen Brown conversation. What you think about my take on it, Stephen A., Shams, Shannon Sharpe. You don't have to agree with me, obviously. If you have a completely different perspective on this, I'm open to hear all people's outlook on situations like this. As always, salute for listening, man, and peace.